声音很小。用笔记本的扬声器，当用笔记本扬声器，那就是两个扬声器都出声，那就声音会变得更离谱。
你试一下放大。叔，你说2句。
你好。
声音好像还可以。
对，因为我现在调过了，我把这个扬声器调到了这边，就是可能我电脑现在是不出声的，所以说现在没有回声了。
哦，好吧，那就这么着吧，开始吧。
这么着吧，
好吧。
没有，没功放，我现在把功放。好，那就这样吧。可以开始吗？So, yeah, this is Shuchang Xie. He's a director of the film we watched today, and we are going to have our Q&A section. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, let's go with our QA section, and I actually have watched the film before the screening already, so it was quite impressive for me, and I think for now I'm gonna yeah, I'll just leave the time for you guys if you have any questions. Yeah.
I would like to say, first of all, thank you very much. And it's kind of, can you guys hear me? I mean, can you guys hear me good? Yeah, I mean, I would like to say something in the beginning. I'm very glad that you are here and to have this kind of chance to meet each other. And when I see this cinema again, it's quite emotional. So yes, I'm very happy to see you guys. And if you have any question about the film, please. But I can't hear you.
Oh, okay, maybe start with me first.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so probably technical problem.
But I think maybe it's better if you not sit beside the computer.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
No. Yeah, no?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So maybe let's start with your let's say like backstories, like how did you start with this project? How was the original idea, and what was your intention? I mean, I know some footage was shot from very long time ago, and I wonder, was it well planned production from the beginning, or you didn't? Maybe there's some footage from years ago, and you didn't know in the beginning what you want to make with those footages. So maybe from this part, like a background story.
Yes. Yes, as you said, the first few minutes of the film was shot in 2012, technically 10 years ago, at the summertime where I visit my family my grandparents in a small town where I grew up for a month, and my grandfather became kind of ill. So I have this feeling that maybe I should have some footage just to keep the time still. But of course, we know this is impossible to keep the time still. So I shot like 3 or 5 days every day at lunchtime and dinner time, which also the time we spent together. And in that year, it's also my beginning of filmmaking study. So at the time I shot the footage, I don't have any idea about making film in mind. But I have seen some films. So in the time while I'm making this footage, I kind of also have a very clear form in my mind that I mean that I have a way to film, to frame the image, that I don't want to move my camera, and that I choose a certain distance towards the people in front of the camera. That's all. This decision was very quickly made because I had in mind this form, which also influenced the sound. So this form, it's so clear at the beginning. And I spent quite some time with this footage to understand while I'm studying filmmaking afterwards, to figure out what I've done in 2012 with this footage. And I watched it over and over again. And in 2016, I made my mind that I want to really make a film, to develop a film from this footage. Yes, as I said, the form is already settled, is very strong, established. So I have not so many choice aesthetically to film, which means to film in another way. So yeah, and the shooting took like 2 years, and then I spent 1 year to cut it, to edit it. Yeah, then there's a film that you guys just saw. Yeah, that's the that's the background story. I can't hear.
Okay. Oh, thanks for your film, and I think it's pretty different from the traditional documentary. And actually, we are talking about some details from your film, especially I'm confused by a scene. So you had dinner in Germany with some senior citizens. So I'm curious who you had dinner with. Maybe it's a very detail.
Yes. The film, it's I mean, the way of how I filming, maybe you can say it's a documentary because you have the feeling it happens in the reality as we know it. I mean, it's not like a very well played film that you might think the director took a very strong influence on it. But actually, as I made my mind to make this film in 2016, it's not anymore my interest to document on something. That's not my goal. To show a family, to show who they are in a documentary way. But yes, their features are very documentary. But in the end, this is a story about this young guy who left his hometown to searching for a different kind of life. And the part in Germany, you have the sense he has his life. So he's not only alone, he also has this chance, as you described, to have a dinner in a family. I mean, the atmosphere, it's very clear. It's very domestic. It's not like he's a stranger in this family. He's accept because people treat him very normal. He don't have to speak, and he don't have to. He's not invited. I hope you have this feeling because he listened other guys talking about very I would say private issues, and he's just there. So you have this feeling he has family also here. I mean, in Germany.
I'm sorry. So you want to express that he is accepted by this family in Germany, but maybe I have the opposite feeling because I noticed you didn't show any scenes with your friends or your peers, only your family and in Germany. So some senior citizens. So maybe I have the different feeling about this. Oh, I thought you want to express the solitude here.
Maybe you are right because he has his life in Germany, but he's also lonely. But this loneliness is not so much different in Germany as well in China because by the fact he doesn't talk so much. I mean, of course, it's much more happened in this Chinese family. Everybody talks, and sometimes he's also in a conversation, but he never started and he never initiate a conversation. He only reacts to other people. If he get a question, he just answers. And in this dinner in Germany, nobody asked his question. People only ask him if you want to drink water. So, so maybe you have this feeling he's kind of lonely, but that's true.
So you want to be lonely, so you don't want to be focused on. You feel comfortable when people don't ask you questions.
I mean, it happens. It happens just as you see it. It's not like, I mean, it's not, I mean, everybody is lonely. I mean, it's very normal to be alone. Sometimes you have this urge not to be alone, so you have to do something in order not to being alone. But yeah, but he's just, yeah, but for him it's just normal.
Oh, thanks. I have the last question. I noticed the illness appears in this film a lot. The illness from your
Yes.
grandfather, and in the end, a man had a stroke in the street, and the whole film just stopped all of a sudden. So I'm wondering, what do you want to express? Because I think sometimes it's a very long scene, so kind of boring. So I'm wondering, maybe do you want to express that maybe life is boring, tedious, and meaningless? So is this what you want to express?
I mean, I don't make any difference between this notion if life is interesting or boring, because both sides belongs to life. It's not like you have a lot of boring time and suddenly have your interesting time. It's not like that. It's all in once. It's not, I mean, we have the feeling that life goes on because time pass by. So you sense the time, and in the floating of time, you don't make any special moments and use this moment to define other moments, to say, oh, I have a happy moment now, so my boring time has suddenly a meaning. I don't see it. I mean, it's every moment is as important as it is. And I want cherish this moment. Sometimes you just have a dinner with your family and it happens a lot, but you don't have to speak and you just watch. And this moment is also very valuable for me. And also it's normal. It's not especially boring and it's not especially interesting. It's just normal. And I'm interested in that, this normal moments, because our life is like that. And also, if you talk about life, you talk about death. So of course, the whole beginning and the reason why I want to make this film is it's because this illness that my grandfather had occurred to me that it will happen to us all. So this film is also kind of deal with memories. Now my grandfather is gone, but I can remember him in this certain way as he used to be. So so that's why I don't want to have any sad moment or any moment who make people think he is an ill man. I hope people receive him as a normal person. that's why I only choose certain way and certain situation to film. For example, I can never imagine to film a scene in a hospital or a scene that people arguing with each other or they're crying. So yes.
Okay, thanks.
Hallo Stefan.
Hey, Shu. Nice to meet you again, Shu.
Es freut mich.
Thank you for your beautiful film. It was really nice to see it again here in the cinema. I think it touches on so many experiences in life, like the family you have, the family you choose, and the houses where you live, the meals you share together, and I was wondering if the film or in the process of the filmmaking, if you found some peace with the loneliness, or if it the filmmaking itself of the helped you to yeah, with this loneliness you expressed earlier, and also a general question about what you think of working with your own family in film in general, your experience with that, yeah, to work with your own relatives and yeah.
So yeah, es freut mich wirklich sehr. Yeah, the first question is about if I have any solution to this loneliness, if I understand it correctly. I think these two questions somehow relates to each other. I try to say it more precisely. I'm not interested only in loneliness, or I'm interested less in loneliness than I'm interested in what people will do to solve the loneliness. I'm interested in what people have to do in order not to be alone. In the first auf erster Linie, also in the first line. So the first thing is with the family. That's the first solution. I mean, it's very normal to have a family in the normal sense. You have a family, you have parents, and you have to have a relationship to it. And you have to develop a attitude towards your family. You have to, towards your parents. And then you have your own family because you don't want to be alone. So yeah, I don't know if I solve my own loneliness, but I am sometimes lonely. But it's different for me. Maybe I used to write I studied literature before I studied film. So for me, literature and writing is a very lonely process. So for a very long time, I cannot really bear it. So I make film because filmmaking is about sharing. You want to share your feelings and you want to share something you find it's interesting. Sometimes you see something and you want to keep it and you want to share to somebody. That's the beginning of my filmmaking. And to work with your own family, that's why I mean these two questions related to each other. It's very difficult in this way because you know your family too good, because you share a lot of things. In the end, the memories that you cannot share to other people. People can't understand that, or people cannot feel the memory you have with your family. So the difficulty for me was to have a distance to my family, to see my family with a with a Außenperspektive. Then you can bury a lot of things. I mean, a lot of conversation no matter in the Chinese family, also in the German family, if you really in the situation, if you try to imagine you are in the situation, then it's very uncomfortable to sit there and to have this conversation. It's sometimes really unbearable. So you have to have this distance to watch this whole situation again, to enjoy it. So I found my way to film, because as film, I can listen, I can watch these people, but yeah, but if you are at the dinner table, it's different. So that's why this film, it's so if we talk about a filmic term, it's not a subjective. It's not from a subjective perspective. Means you cannot really project your emotion as viewer to any characters in a film. You cannot really identify it with anyone. You just watch. That's what I tried to do while I'm filming. Even I'm in front of the camera, I still try not to draw too much attention on myself, because it happens sometimes, and it's not beautiful for me. Yeah.
Danke dir, Shu.
Thank you.
Hello, Shuchang.
Hello.
I just watched your film, and I want to ask one question about the title of the film. It's His Land, because at the beginning, I think at the first third of the film, I think His Land means that's the land of the grandfather. And then after that, lately I realized, maybe it's the land of it's their land. It's the land of a lot of people. Then you show that your life in Germany, in Hamburg, and then I think. Then I realized it's his land. The his is actually referred to you. It's maybe your land is his land, but like you said before, that with the camera and the film, I always feel like that it's a detachment. It's like you don't the camera is not connected to the scenes, and they are like very objective observation, and but it's not like authority that is my land. That's not like the end language I feel like. So that's my question. It's like with the title His Land, and you said you feel not like belong actually to the environment in the camera, or the camera is not belong to the environment. And what's your understanding about the title and the film, the relation between the telling and the things?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, because sometimes I always think about a lot about titles, and when I watch films, I also put very much attention on titles. So for me, this film, as I said, was first took place in a very documentary way, and then I developed a plan how I shoot this film. I don't have script because I work alone, so I don't need to write a script to show anybody I want to make this. But I do have a script in mind. I mean, I have a short list. While I'm working on this short list, where, when, and with whom I want to shoot, I immediately have this title. I mean, this title came very early, because even though I don't know how I exactly want to shoot this film, I already have a title. That's something. It opens my imagination, because if you say it's his land, then automatically it's not my land. As simple as that. So I have then imagine, what would be his land, no matter to whom. But you are right. On the first line, it's about me playing this guy. So I want to show his life. But I don't take any objective perspective. I mean, this term is so absurd. I don't even know how to really explain what that is. But one thing is certain, that I took distance. It's more distanced than some films. I would say it like that. But the reason I want to take distance, as I said, is to re-engage to the situation, because me as person has this experience in the situation, was not so comfortable. So I want have this distance to re-engage. So it's in the end about give them my attention, to watch them concentrated in a way. So that also means love to me. So I cannot, I don't know. I don't think my camera is detached. It's a very involved and present in a situation. It also has a lot things to do with the sound and the space and how the body move into the space, and not only the distance between what happened in front of the camera and what happened behind the camera, also the distance between everyone in front of the camera, how they behave to each other, where they sit, where they go. And yeah, this kind of distance, it's very organic for me and dynamic. That's the parameter. How can I frame the scene? If the camera is very detached, as we usually know from some documentary filmmaking, it would be like a civilian camera, that you just have the information what happened in front of the camera, but you don't have the feeling. Yeah. I can't hear you.
Sorry. Now you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I will say thank you for the answer. And I had a second question. I saw you show two things in the film with the traffic jam or traffic accident. One is with the traffic jam, and the other is with the traffic accident. And the first one, during that the traffic jam, you played one song, and I realized this song is not belong to the region where it's filmed, but it's from maybe Taiwan, because I saw at the end it's the Taidong Diao. And just want to ask you, how was your thought and to like put this scenes with this music in this point of the film? Because I find it's very interesting. And
yeah, I mean, there's different things, the music and the image, because the image would also work if there's no music. I mean, the traffic jam, you have, I really love to shoot on the street, I have to say. That's kind of my thing. And every time you see a street in my film, at least in this film, you see a scene at home. So you have the feeling you are at home, then something happened on the street. So that means it's about this family. You have a lot of time. You spend a lot of time with this family, and then suddenly you are on the street. It's not about this family anymore, but the life happened and goes on without them. So that's something I'm really interested in. And the music, it's something different. I mean, if you listen to the music, you have a different sense of time. You, of course, you sense the length of the time of the traffic jam, like 1 or 2 minutes. Sometimes you feel it much longer. But with music, you have different, yeah, in some, sorry for my English, but I hope you understand what I mean. If the time passes differently if you listen to the music, but not because I need this music. Because for me, music never need, maybe it's too much to say, but usually for me, if I listen to the music, I don't have to have an image. The music don't need image, but a lot of image needs music to add something on it. But that's something I'm not interested in, and I find it's also very, 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 what's the word? Schade. For the music. So I use music very carefully. And so the 3 music pieces, it's very different. Each time, it's not only it's different music piece, also how they are used, it's very different. I mean, in the beginning, it's very clear that this music has some function because it happens in the dialogue and somebody has to sing it, then the music can make sense. So that's totally scripted scene. In the end, my mother has to sing. Otherwise, I cannot use this music. And in the end, when I eating alone, and this music piece, you can say it's kind of classic because you have somehow suddenly access to this person who never talks for a very long time, and you have this music to him. So yeah, it's very differently used. Yeah.
Thank you. That's all my question.
Thank you.
Very nice film. I love it.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you very much for this very beautiful film. Touching a little bit on the previous question, you mentioned this very nice adjective for the style of film. It's very organic, and that's what it came across as, very natural. And I was wondering if you could say something about more of the technical film shooting side of it, because to get this organic feel, I was wondering if there was ever more than one take necessary for a scene, or for example, if you're filming your family having dinner, would you set on the camera for a long time and then cut a certain section of that, or was it sometimes necessary to have more than one take if somebody, for example, looks into the camera or if it doesn't feel right?
Yeah. And yeah, that's also very interesting, this question, because maybe people don't think about it, and it's also not so important. But maybe it's interesting for somebody who want to make film. Then he will understand how or what the difficulty will be to make people apparent in front of the camera naturally. Because if you ask them behave naturally, it will never be natural. No matter what your understanding on natural is, they will behave differently. So people will think in my film, it's very natural. It happens as it happened. So they will think maybe it's, I put the camera somewhere and just let it run and I cut a certain part of it out. But maybe in the beginning it's so in 2012, because I don't know what I want to do, and then I have this footage, and I realize this quality that you are described, that they are very natural, because they don't care. They don't care how they appear, and they don't care how people will see them. So it's very natural. But when I tried to achieve certain situation, because I have a short list, it's different. So everything after, I would say, minute 10 was shot at least twice, every conversation, because I know I want to have this conversation, and I want they talk about certain things, because it's also my memory. Like, I want them talk about that they beat me when I was young, or that where we used to live, or the town has vanished. I mean, I have a certain goal that I want to achieve. But even though I shot at least twice, I don't ask them to repeat. If I already planned to have this meeting or have this dinner and we should talk about this, and it doesn't work, I will let it go. And maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, I will arrange a different kind of situation. I mean, a dialogue, or what I want them to say, don't have to happen in a certain place. It could happen at home, but also it could happen at a restaurant. So maybe they already forgotten the last shooting, because they think they're making something new, but actually it's the same dialogue. I mean, I don't write dialogue, but they will say it because it's also part of their daily life. They are always talk about the same things. If you pay attention to people, people repeat.
Thank you. A second short technical question. I was wondering, because it spanned across 10 years, and some of the shots looked like they were filmed with analog film, and some of them looked more digital. And I was wondering if you used the same camera throughout the whole film, or how that evolved throughout your film making knowledge evolution.
Yeah, that's the same camera always, because I have to keep this look to the footage which I shot in 2020. So I don't have any choice but use this camera. So it's all digital. It's also a very, very simple and pre-zoom photo camera which can make videos.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I got another question for you, also technical. And could you talk about, because from the film, I guess most of the, I don't know, but I would say from what I can sense that most of the scenes of shooting was like you did alone, maybe. I mean, I don't know, but I guess. And could you tell us more about the shooting scene? Like, how did you manage? If you, I mean, I'm sure that some of the part would be like you did alone. How would you like manage camera, and how would you manage the sound recording, and especially in those shots that you personally are involved in the scene? Yeah, that's a question.
Yeah, there was very, very interesting for me, and also kind of difficult in the beginning, but I get used to it, because at the first moment, I thought, I mean, in 2012, I already decide to really use the sound. What's the word? Their O-tone, original sound. If that can make sense. I mean, I want to use the sound which really happened at the place. I don't bearbeiten.
You don't want to use a Foley, right?
Yes. So it's very clear at the very beginning, I don't use the camera sound, which also means I don't use the directional mic. So I use a separate device to record the sound. At the beginning was one, and as time goes by, I add the number of the device, sometimes 3 devices at the location. So it's kind of difficult to manage it alone, but also means if I already set the sound, I set the sound at first before I shoot. So the frame, it's also influenced by the sound. Otherwise, the sound device will be in the frame. So because that's how I determine the distance, because the sound need more precise distance to the people. And if I don't want to use directional mic and I don't want to wire them, so you have very limited position for the sound device. And if you have 2 or 3 devices in the location, then you don't have so much opportunity to frame. Yeah, so that's why the camera shouldn't move, not only because that, but also it influenced the decision why I don't move the camera. And also, that's how I began. So during the time, I learned a lot from this practice. What does it mean? Do not move the camera. What does it mean to have this kind of sound? Which means sometimes you don't have the higher, you don't have this over-evaluate importance for the dialogue. Sometimes you hear a lot of things you wouldn't hear. Yeah, I just interested in that when I shoot the film. Yeah, so that's why everything relate to each other. If I don't move the camera and the sound doesn't move, and the people have to move in a certain space in front of the camera, otherwise they will be off. And yeah, so that's also kind of arrangement. I have to decide if I want this person in off or if I want this person on. If I want them on, then they shouldn't move. They have to sit somewhere and they shouldn't running around at home, which also it's not so easy because they forgot sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I think you are showing a possibility for like individual filmmaker when they are alone, how to make a film by them alone, like a way, a kind of possibility. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you very much.
There are more any.
Hi.
Hi.
We have to thank Shu for allowed us to show his film here and having this Q&A with us, because it's like we appreciate it a lot for independent filmmakers to give us the possibility to show their films for free. And I feel very different this time watching your film, because I watched the different versions before, and at that time I feel like much stronger emotion when I see the German part, because it's a big contrast compared to the Chinese part, and with also your dialect and everything is very lively. And then I have the stronger feeling when I see the German part, which is very, compared to the Chinese part, is super lonely, and I agreed very much back then. And nowadays I watch your film again, I felt like this leverage between China and Germany is quite like balanced for me inside, and the loneliness I can feel from both sides, from both in Germany and in China, because it's like you are also kind of like an outsider in a Chinese family and kind of the same in Germany. Like, yeah, this is just my feeling. And I have one question, which is, I feel like the film could also work when you cut it until you finished eating. And I don't know what's your intention to extend it for the one last footage, and why you do it like that.
Yeah.
That's my question.
Yeah, as I said, that was never my intention to make somehow a contrast to China and Germany, or a comparison or something. It just happened because you have this. I mean, the film expand over 10 years, and you have this journey with this guy. And you also have the background story of him, that the hometown where he grew up was vanished, and the whole family and millions of people have to move. So it's more about it's more about this a term of home, and maybe his loneliness is more visible because he don't or rarely have a home. Everywhere he goes, it's more temporary. So he moved to this new city of his hometown, and he went to other city to have college, and then he went to Germany. It's a journey. So you see it also in that order. It's not like if I try to compare China and Germany, I will cut it, I will edit it differently to make this difference. Of course, there's difference, but sometimes I feel it's more in common. But that doesn't really matter. It's just a passage of time. So as I said, also as filmmaker, we want to what we do is to keep the time, but the time passes by. So in the end, you have this he's in he's outside, and you have this picture, you have this image, and you see him, but also you see a lot of different things. All these things, and also the location, their Platz, everything plays a role, and it made this picture. And you watch this image, you have I have a certain feeling, and I'm sure if you watch it, you will have this feeling too. Maybe we cannot really put this feeling in words. Maybe you can say it is lonely or cruel or hard, but these words cannot really describe this image. So I want to show it as well as all other images too, that you can really put in words. So, and also, this is a very simple answer to this question. If you end this film by this eating, then you have a very strong feeling that the film ends. The film has an ending. And if you have this other thing in the end, you have the feeling the film goes on. So yeah, there's a complicated answer, and there's also simple one.
I think everybody asked what they wanted to ask, and so last chance. Then we thank Shu for the screening this film for us and the Q&A, and hope you all the best in China.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
And we can
Thank you very much.
make a screenshot together, take a photo together with Shu.
Yeah.
Everybody can come to the camera and TT make a photo from behind. Three, everybody. Okay.
Hi, hello,
Three,
hello. Yeah, Allah.
2, 1, go.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, guys.
It's the captain for today.
谢谢叔，
好，拜拜。Thank you, bye.
拜拜，Good night。
好，关键了。我不觉得这个录屏你能录下它吗？你看一下。
我就关咯。
好，关吧。